I'm here to talk to you today about the importance of early literacy. Many children start kindergarten without a strong foundation in early literacy skills. Two of the early literacy skills that I'll be talking about today are phonological awareness and phonemic awareness. Phonological awareness is awareness of sound structure in words, such as rhyming or syllables. Phonemic awareness is identifying the smallest unit of sounds in words, such as knowing that cat has 3 sounds. These two skills relate to literacy because being able to hear the sounds in words helps children begin to read and write by sounding out the words. For example, like I mentioned earlier, if a child can hear the 3 sounds in cat, knowing that k, at, then eventually they'll be able to mash up the letter to the sound and be able to write it down. Or if they know the sound structure, such as rhyming words, then they would know that bat and cat rhyme, and eventually they'll know that when writing or when reading that they just have to change out that beginning sound when sounding words out. Early literacy is extremely important in the early years of your child's life because their brains are growing very quickly. What they learn in these early years will affect them for the rest of their lives because of that fast brain development. Early literacy skills include print concepts, letter naming, vocabulary, phonological awareness, listening, speaking, and comprehension. Developing these skills only helps young children enter kindergarten with the skill set necessary to begin reading. Now, there are some activities that you can use to teach early literacy skills. The first early literacy skill we're going to talk about is print concepts. And print concepts is knowing the parts of the book. So an activity I use for this is I take a piece of paper like this and I fold it in half to make a little book. And then students get the opportunity to create their own book. We'll give them a topic like your favorite place at school. And so they'll write the title out. They'll put by and then they'll put their name. And that's teaching them title and author just on the front page. And it's okay if they don't know how to write because you'll write the words for them. You just want them to practice writing the parts of the book. If they scribble, scrabble, that's fine. Then you'll go to the inside. And I usually draw a line across the top and tell them that pictures go up top and the words go down bottom. And this is teaching them the direction of words, the direction of print, the difference between pictures and words for some of them that are still in that level. And this can be used even with children with special needs. You may have to do some hand-over-hand writing and teach them, how to hold the pencil, how to grip. You may have to help them with their story, with their favorite place, and provide them some extra words. But it can still be used for them. And it's a great activity. The point of the activity is not to focus on them being perfect, but to focus on them enjoying the activity and encouraging them to enjoy reading and writing. Now, the next skill that we're going to talk about is letter naming. And an activity that I like to use for letter naming is called letter card pickup. And so the students are shown a letter card. And if they know the letter, then they get to keep the card. The student who gets the most cards wins. And this activity encourages them to rapidly learn their letters because they're really paying attention because they really want to win. And so I enjoy this activity with them as well because you can see how quickly that they learn. Now, one thing with this activity is to make sure that you don't pair students with someone who has more letters than them. For example, it would be unfair to pair a student who knows 26 letters with a student who knows 5. Obviously, that's going to be discouraging, and the point of the activities is to encourage students and want them to participate. Now, the next skill we're going to talk about is vocabulary. And vocabulary is an important skill because the more words your student knows and are able to use accurately, the better off they will be when it comes to reading and writing, the more knowledge that they will have. So an activity that I use to build vocabulary is similar to the one for print concepts. Students have a piece of paper and they are asked to use the vocabulary words from the week in a sentence. Now, in the beginning, I just ask them to do it verbally, but as time goes on, they'll write it down. And before we do this, of course, they already have a definition and they've been provided examples. Now, for a student with special needs, they may just draw a picture of their sentence instead of actually writing their sentence. And you may have to assist them and prompt them with the vocabulary definition again, so that they can remember. Now, the next skill that we're going to talk about is phonological awareness, and it is a predictor for early reading success. So, activity is more like a game, in my opinion, but an activity that I like to use for this skill with students is called Hickety Pickety Bumblebee. And I take the bumblebee puppet and I say, Hickety Pickety Bumblebee, can you clap your name for me? And then the students clap the syllables in their name. Now, in the beginning, when they're just learning syllables, they're not going to know exactly how to clap. You may have to model for them. And for your students with special needs, if they struggle with that gross motor of clapping, then, I help them clap the I'll take their hand with the bumblebee and show them how to clap. But they enjoy it because of the puppet and the fun song that goes along with it. And it's really engaging, and it's teaching them to clap syllables, so it's a fun way to practice. Now, speaking and listening are separate early literacy skills, but I generally teach them together with our class puppets. And so students are put into groups, and they all have a puppet. And then they use their puppets to talk to each other. Instead of them having a conversation, they pretend like it's their puppets having a conversation. So, for example, if the students have a cow and a pig, they might talk about life on a farm. And in order to build this story about whatever happened on the farm, then they have to listen and talk with their partner or group. And this is also a good activity to use with students because you can correct the puppet and not have to directly correct them, so they don't get discouraged. Because a lot of times when you correct a student, you say, wait, you need to wait your turn. They might shut down and they might not want to participate in the conversation at all. So with this, you can say, well, maybe Mr. Cow needs to wait his turn and let Miss Pig talk. And then the student doesn't feel so directly like, oh, I talk too much or anything like that. And it's still teaching them those speaking and listening skills. And the last early literacy skill is comprehension. Comprehension is being able to understand what you've just heard or read. And an activity that I use for comprehension or to build comprehension with students is called Story Sort. And so during a Story Sort, we'll have about 6 to 10 pictures from the story of the week, and students put them in order in the way that they happened in the story. And as we're putting them in order, like we might put one up and we'll say, this is what happened first. And then because this happened, then this happened next. It helps students walk back through the story, but it also helps them remember what happened and is checking that comprehension. Do you really understand what was going on, or were you just hearing me and didn't grasp any concept of it? It helps them within the future because they're going to be asked to read stories on their own and answer questions about it. So it's preparing them for future reading. All of these early literacy skills help students for reading and writing later in life. So I hope that by listening to me today, you were able to see the importance of early literacy skills and the impact that they have on your child's future reading and writing skills.